Good morning, everyone. Beginning of the sessions on Mondays. There have been a number of questions asked by the seekers. During the regular Saturday and Sunday, it is almost difficult to respond to those questions. So I decided to use Monday to respond to these questions. The streaming is available via YouTube and Facebook. So because Monday being the work day, beginning of the work week, those who cannot approach, cannot attend the direct live streaming, they can go into Facebook streaming or YouTube. Someone asked, this series is Sex, the Natural and Spontaneous Way of Life. Someone asked, Dear Sheikh, can you explain why is it that I do not feel like having sex with my wife but want to have sex with other women? Can you explain why is it that I do not feel like having sex with my wife but want to have sex with other women? Another odd thing around sexuality I experienced is that when I desire a woman, I may text her or talk to her on phone or via Skype, but when I meet her in person, I no longer have any desire for sex with her. I do not understand this phenomenon. I wonder if desire for sex and fantasies surrounding it are just in my mind, like a movie. They do not really exist outside the mind. Do desires essentially stem from the mind when it comes to sex? I thought that the urge for sexual union with opposite sex is also a biological bodily need. This is the question. I will read the question in parts again as and when it becomes necessary. This is not one question. Instead, it is set of questions are all related to one another. As a result, I respond in segments. Also, response may not finish in one session alone. However, my purpose is transformation of human consciousness, so I will not worry how many sessions it takes. You said that I do not, can you explain, I do not feel like having sex with my wife but want to have sex with other women. This is the first segment. Mind always wants something new. It does not matter if it be the food, apparel, or the place that you visit for holidays. Mind does not like repetition. It gets bored quickly. And when it gets bored, it falls into sleep. Can you eat the same food every day? When it comes to holiday, you choose each time a new destination. In Trinidad, we have the regular prayers organized by the citizens. And these prayers are 3 nights, 7 nights, 9 nights. During this period, the, the lady of the house does not wear the same apparel every day. So she buys the clothes for each day, and similar she does it for her husband and for the children who are participating in the prayers. As if God needs to look at your prayers, look at your apparel. When a person goes to attend a wedding, each time a woman needs a new clothes. Such is the nature of the mind. When it comes to holidays, you choose each time a new destination. Doing the same thing again and again, mind gets bored. You do not understand this. So you go on feeding the mind with new each time, rather being creative. For instance, you can cook the same dish differently, but mind goes for appearances. I have heard about a Sufi sheikh who during the month of fasting will eat only one vegetable during the entire fasting period. There are certain exercises and simple techniques that one can use not to be under the influence of the mind. You have physically explored the territory of your wife, and your wife has explored yours. There is nothing new in each other's body. Both begin to lose interest in one another. There is nothing new. And with the passage of time, bodily changes begin to take place. And woman is one person who rarely wants to change the position during the sex. For them, the usual word is come and finish it quick. I am sleeping. That too she gets ready after some persuasion. Man thinks of sex every 2 minutes, and women thinks of sex 4 minutes. Another thing about the women is unique, that after having baby, her desire for sex reduces, whereas such is not the case for man. The man has to coax her to have sex every time. This turns off the man easily. Then he begins to lose interest in the wife. Firstly, there is no religious bindings according to Islam. Marriage is a social contract. Christianity is slightly different. Hinduism talks about the relationship of 7 lives. And with the influence of modern day influence, the extramarital affairs are quite common. This is one thing. Because of this, number one, the woman does not want to be creative in the act of sex. The fulfillment of sex comes in not the act, but all that is done before the act actually takes place. That is known as foreplay. After having the baby, or you have explored each other's physical boundaries, the interest diminishes. Then it becomes a routine, just like I sneeze. Sex is not a sneeze. It is playing with each other's energy, not for entertainment, but for transformation. And all the women who resist or give all kind of excuses to have sex every day become suspicious of her husbands. This gives rise to another question, another aspect of the question, another odd things around sexuality. I experience that when I desire a woman, I may text her or talk to her on phone or Skype. Such situation arises because of the mind, and that you are seeking happiness in the other or something outward. Remember, you are half man, half woman, because your body has come into existence with the interaction between ovum and sperm. And with the biology, your mind is also half feminine, half masculine. Unless you are one with your inner woman or inner man, if you are not happy within, how can you give happiness to the other? Everyone is seeking happiness in food, in clothes, in traveling, in sex, but not seeking happiness within. No one wants to dwell happiness within. Happiness you cannot find in the other or something outward. Seeking happiness through the other is illusion, is a mirage. You are running behind something which does not exist. You will never be happy unless you learn to be happy within. The illusion that happiness comes from somewhere is known as the world. This leads to a life of conflict and confusion. Remember, happiness is now, this very moment, And when such awareness comes, this is nirvana. The term Buddha used. Happiness comes through someone is illusory. Know this as the world. The awareness that happiness is your nature is awakening. I had explained the three words Sat, Chit, Anand. These are connected. The three terminals are within your body, the solar plexus. Below that is the realm of sex. The two centers, the earth and the water centers, that is the realm of sex. Above this and solar plexus is your soul, is the truth in you. And once this center becomes activated, your life begins to move in a different direction. Then the other is the third eye center, which is the center of command. When the energy reaches there, you can become a pandit. You can come to the world you have not experienced it totally, but you are ready to relate it to the person, to the others. Below this is the realm of the world, and beyond that is the state of Anand. This center, the third eye, is consciousness. Once you have known truth, you live by it. Consciousness is the vehicle. Truth is the driver. And Anand, bliss, is the destination. So the awareness that happiness is your nature is awakening. This happens when one thinks too much about sex and nothing else. Such thinking stimulates the sex center in the brain. When sex reaches the brain, it becomes difficult to operate at the physical plane. Remember, sex happens only at the physical plane. And to attain to this state, you require the dimension of meditation. Let me explain something significant about sexual energy first, before continuing the other aspects of the question. Sexual energy is as much electrical as any energy. All energies are electrical, and sex energy is bioelectricity. It comes out of your body. There was a woman in Sweden. Something has gone wrong in her body. She can take a bulb of 5 watt in her hands, and the bulb will get lit. But don't start thinking that it would be good if it happens to you. She is in danger because when her husband touches her, he used to get shocks. You cannot make love to such a woman. You will be in shock. You will forget about that person forever. Her husband had filed a divorce because this woman is giving him such shocks that he has become afraid. Now the court is deciding the case because there is no precedence and there is no law on how to decide it. Something has gone wrong with our system, a short circuit. In sex, you create energy by sexual movements, fantasies, desires. You create energy. The whole energy moves to the sex center, the base center or the earth center, Mooladhara, and concentrates there. Then comes a peak, a build-up, and a sudden explosion, shock all over your body. Peace follows, but this peace is at great cost. You are destroying the valuable energy for nothing. There was a famous scientist, a Spanish. He did some research and it is very dangerous for the future. His name is Delgado. He has created a small mechanism, a box. You can keep it in your pocket. It can be connected to the sex center in your mind. A wire grows and connects it. From where the sex center in the body is controlled. You can keep it in your pocket. Whenever you want sexual pleasure, you can just push the button. It gives shock from the battery to the sex center in the mind, and you experience the joy, the happiness. This is better, but it is dangerous. Dangerous because then you will not stop and you will go on pushing the button. It happened. Delgado was working on rats, 12 rats, and he placed the electrodes in their head. The mechanism was just in front of them, and he taught them how to press it. The rats went crazy. In 1 hour, they pressed it 6,000 times. Unless they fall completely exhausted and unconscious, they won't listen to Delgado even. They will just go on pushing. Delgado says if this becomes possible for men, men will not be interested in women, and women will not be interested in men, because this mechanism does not create any trouble. In a statement, Tibetan Buddhist master Marpa says, woman is a troublemaker, she is. This box that Delgado developed is very economical, no trouble. Man is also a troublemaker. So whenever the two troublemakers meet, the trouble multiplies. The box is very cheap but dangerous because those rats will not go for food, water or anything else. They will not go to sleep, and with no cost, just an electric phenomenon. The same is happening when you are making love to a woman or to a man. It is childish. You laugh at rats. How you laugh? Have you ever laughed at yourself? If you have not laughed, at yourself, you have no right to laugh at the rats. That is not good. Look at your mind. The rat is there, continuously fantasizing. Celibacy means to understand the whole phenomenon, what is happening, and if it shocks, you become peaceful and you attain a little glimpse of happiness. This cannot be eternal. It can be only momentary. Soon the energy will be lost and then you will be frustrated. That's why sex creates more frustration in an individual than anything else. No, something else has to be found and discovered. Something of the eternal. Something so that you can remain blissful. It cannot be caught through the shock. It can only happen through transmutation of energy. Let me explain something about the existential bioenergy that we know as sex. There is no such thing as sex energy. Energy is one and the same. Sex is one outlet for it, one direction for it. It is one of the applications, many applications of the energy. Life energy is one. Just as your electric supply is one, you do not name it, but when it manifests through the living room, you call it living room light or restroom light or the study light or something else. When life energy becomes biological, it becomes sex energy. Sex is just one application of life energy, so there is no question of sublimation. If life energy flows in another direction, goes into creativity, there is no sex, but it is not sublimation. When your energy begins to move in creativity, it is no more sex, but it is not sublimation, instead it is transformation. Sex is natural, biological flow of life energy, and it is the lowest application of this energy. It is natural because life cannot exist without it. And it is lowest because it is the foundation. Sex is the foundation, not the peak. When sex becomes totality, the whole life just a waste. It is like laying the foundation and you continue to lay the foundation and you do not ever raise the wall above the foundation. Sex is the foundation. The purpose of the foundation is to give a solidity to the structure that you are building. The moment your foundation, depending on the structure that you are planning, you have to keep the foundation deeper. You have to do the foundation in a different way, depending on, sometimes it happens, depending on the soil survey, the foundation is made differently. But you cannot continue making the foundation lifelong and do not build the vault and continue the structure. Sex is your foundation. It is very essential. But it is not all. It is like laying the foundation and go on laying the foundation without ever building the house for which foundation is meant. Sex is just an opportunity for higher transformation of life energy. It is foundation, just the beginning. When and how are you going to know the foundation is ready? This is the question. You have to understand, and I have to take you into the cycle, the life cycle from birth to death. You have to understand that human life from birth to death moves in 7-year cycles. Do not consider these cycles as mathematical. Certain people mature faster than the others. The first 7 years in the life of a child is known as zero sex. He has no idea of sex. In fact, man's life should not be divided into childhood, youth, and old age as we normally do. That is not very scientific, because every 7 years a new age, a new step is taken. For the first 7 years, the child is self-centered, as if he is the center of the whole world. The whole family moves around him. Whatsoever are his needs, they have to be fulfilled immediately. Otherwise, he will go into tantrum, anger, rage. He lives like an emperor, a real emperor. The mother, the father, the brothers and sisters, they are all servants, and whole family just exist for him. And of course, he thinks the same is true for the wider world. The moon rises for him, and of course he thinks the same is true. The moon rises for him, the sun rises for him, the seasons change for him. A child for 7 years remains absolutely egoistic, self-centered. Psychologists, if you ask a psychologist, they say child for 7 years remains masturbatory. During this period, the child begins to explore even his own biology. He hides in the plays with his genitals, and remains satisfied with himself. This is a self-masturbatory state. He does not need anything, anybody. He feels complete. During this period, most of the children learn to masturbate, and it is quite natural, but parents do not understand this. They have not learned how to rear a child. Bearing a child is one thing, but rearing a child requires a lot of psychological and other aspects, a deep understanding of life. So the children hide and do masturbate, plays with their own genitals. After 7 years, a breakthrough happens. A child is no more self-centered. Instead, he becomes eccentric, literally eccentric. The world means going out of the center. He moves towards others. The other becomes the important phenomenon, friends, gang. Now he is not so much interested in himself. He is interested in the other, the bigger world. He enters into an adventure to know who is this other. Inquiry starts. This is a delicate moment in the rearing of a child. After the 7th year, the child becomes a great questionnaire. He questions everything. He becomes a great skeptic because inquiry is there. He asks a million questions. He bores the parents to death. He becomes a nuisance. He is interested in the other, and everything of the world is his interest. Why are trees green? One day, Schopenhauer was walking through his garden. A child was with him, and Schopenhauer was in his own thoughts. The child asked, "Why are trees green?" At this time, giving a child answer from your level of consciousness will not satiate the child. How are children born? So Schopenhauer pondered for a minute, and he told the child, "The trees are green because they are green." The child said, "Exactly, this is what I have been thinking, but everybody says the trees are green because of this, because of that." I recall one day my nephew, when I came to Trinidad, I was staying by them. He asked his father a question, "How are children born?" He did not know how to answer the question, answer the inquiry. The child was very intelligent. He would have been about 6 or 7 years of age. So he did not know. He went and he drank half bottle of rum. So then I called, I said, "Come, boy. Let me tell you how children are born." He said, "Okay, uncle, tell me." I said, "You study different things in school?" He said, "Yes." I said, "What is your favorite subject?" He said, "I like gardening." Now I got a clue how to answer the question. I said, "What do you do in gardening?" He said, "During that period, we take a flower pot, we prepare the soil." I said, "How do you prepare the soil?" He said, "We take the soil, remove the stones from this, add manure to it, mix it well, fill it in the flower pot, water it. So through the water, the soil and the water mixes up." I said, "Then what you do?" "Then we take the seed and make a hole in the flower pot, in the earth, the soil that is there, and plant the seed in it." I said, "Who does that?" He said, the teacher asks us how to prepare this soil and fill it up in that, water it, and then he comes and he places the seed in the hole and then covers it. I said, "Exactly like that children are born. The mummies have the soil, they are like the flower pot, and the fathers are like the teachers who come and plant the seed into that. And then what happens?" He said, "We water it every day. And then what happens? Then the seed becomes a little plant and we become very happy." I said, "Exactly like that children are born." He said, "Uncle, you are right. I know this is how children are born." Telling them this cock and bull story that the God angels drop the child by the mother, this and that. This is the child does not want. He likes to kill. Child is a great inquirer between the 7th and 14th years of age. He kills a butterfly to see what is inside, destroys a toy just to see how it works. He throws a clock just to look into it, how it goes on ticking and chiming. What is the matter inside? He becomes interested in the other, but the other remains of the same sex. He is not interested in the girls, and if the boys are interested in girls, he will think they are sissy. Girls are not interested in boys. If this if some girl is interested in boys and plays with them, she is considered a tomboy, not normal, average. Something is wrong. This second stage, psychoanalysts and psychologists will say, is homosexual. First stage for 7 years, zero sex, this is homosexual. After 14th year, a third door opens. He is no more interested in boys. The girls are no more interested in boys. The girls are no more interested in girls. They are polite, but not interested. That is why any friendship that happens between 7th and 14th year is the deepest, because the mind is homosexual. No more in life will such friendship will happen again. Those friends remain friends forever. It was such a deep tie. You will become friendly with people, but that will remain acquaintance, not the deep phenomena that happen between the 7th and the 14th year. After the 14th year, a boy is not interested in boys, and the girl, if everything goes normal, if he is not stuck somewhere, he will be interested in the girls, and the girls will be interested in boys. This is becoming heterosexual. Not only interested in others, but really the other becomes in the other, because when a boy is interested in boy, the boy may be other, but is still a boy, just like himself, not exactly the other. When a boy becomes interested in girls, now he is really interested in the opposite, the real other. When a girl becomes interested in boys, now the other world enters. 14th year is a great revolutionary year. Sex becomes mature. One starts thinking in terms of sex. Sex fantasies become prominent in dreams. Boys they start courting. Poetry arises. Romance begins. He is entering the world. By the 21 years, if everything goes normal, the child is not forced by the society to do something which is not natural. By the 21st year, a child becomes interested more in ambition than in love. He wants a Rolls Royce or an expensive car, a great palace. He wants to be a success. He looks towards the successful men in life. Ambition becomes prominent. Desiring for future, being a success, how to succeed, how to compete, how to move in the struggle is his whole concern. Now he is not only entering the world of nature, he is entering the world of humanity and the marketplace. Now he is entering the world of madness. Now market becomes the most prominent thing. His whole being goes towards the market, money, power, prestige. If everything goes wrong, as it never goes, I am talking of absolutely natural phenomena. By 28, a man is not in any way trying to enter into adventurous life. For 21 to 28 he lives in adventure. By 28th year he becomes more alert that all desires cannot be fulfilled. There is more understanding that many desires are impossible to attain. If you are fool, you can go after them, but people who are intelligent, by the 28th year they enter into another door. They become more interested in security and comfort, less in adventure and ambition. They start, this is the time to settle. By 35, one has to become part of the controversial world. One starts believing in traditions in the past, in Vedas, in Quran, the Bible. One is absolutely against change because every change means your life will be disturbed. Now, this is the time that man and woman both return to the traditions. Those who were adventurous about a spiritual life of meditation, they go back to the rituals. One is absolutely against change because every change means your life will be disturbed. Now you have so much to lose. You cannot be for revolution. You want protection, security in life. One is for the law and the courts and the governments. One is no more an anarchist. One is all for the government, rules, regulation and discipline. By 40, this happens between 35 to 42. Swedish physician and psychoanalyst Carl Gustav Jung said, in 40 years of my medical practice, I have come to the conclusion, by the time one attains the age of 40, if religion is given, we can save humanity. It is at this time we become psychologically schizophrenic. By 42nd, all sort of physical and mental illnesses erupt because now life is on the decline. Energy is moving towards death. As in the beginning energies were coming up, you are becoming more and more vital, energetic. You are becoming more and more strong. Now just the opposite begins to happen. But your habits persist. The same thing happens with the sex. By the time one reaches 42, he should be totally finished with sex. But after that, the habits continue. You have been eating enough up to the age of 35. Now you continue your habits. Up to now you have been interested in having sex couple times every day. It has to change. The energy must, the seed must burst open. It must sprout. It must begin to bear the fruits and the flowers. And if you persist with your habits, be it of food or with sex, you are going to have problems. As you advance in age, you are not physically in a position to have sex. You would have seen the men in 60s and 70s running behind the young girls, because the young girls know very well This man can do nothing. He is like a dog running behind a good looking car, but he cannot drive a car. So they feel safe. At the most, he can explore this biology. A man after 60, 70, he is like a dog running behind every car that is passing on the street, but he cannot drive the car. Girls know of this. If you are a voracious eater and you continue to persist with your habit, you will gather fat. Now much food is not needed. Your eating habits must change. It was needed, but now it is not needed because your life is moving towards, is on the decline. It does not need that much food. If you go on filling your belly as you were doing before, then all sort of illnesses will happen. The blood pressure, the heart attack, the insomnia, the ulcer, they all happen near about 42. 42 is one of the most dangerous point in the life of a man. Hair starts falling, they become grey, life is turning towards death, and after the age of 42, religion starts becoming important for the first time. That's why Swedish psychoanalyst Carl Gustav Jung made this statement. And near about 42, the religion becomes important for the first time. All those who were adventurous as far as the meditation is concerned, they revert back to the religious life. You may have dabbed a little here and there in the religion before, but now religion starts becoming for the first time important because religion is deeply concerned with death. Now death is approaching, and therefore for the first time the desire for religion arises in you. The society was good when you were 14 because the society gives enough of sex. The whole society is sexual. Sex seems to be the only commodity hidden in every commodity. If you want to sell a 10-ton truck, then you need a naked woman. Or you want to sell the toothpaste, truck or toothpaste, it makes no difference. A naked woman is always smiling there behind. Really, the woman is sold. The truck is not sold, the toothpaste is not sold. The smile of the woman comes with toothpaste. You have to purchase the toothpaste also. Everywhere sex is sold. So the society is a secular one, is good for young people, but they are not going to remain young forever. When they become 42, suddenly the society leaves them in limbo. They cannot know what to do now. They go neurotic because they do not know that they have never been trained. No discipline has ever been given to them how to face the inevitable death. The society has made them ready for life, but nobody has taught them how to become ready for death. They need as much education for death as they need for the life. It was in 2009, during my talks at Harvard University, I spoke on the missing dimension in education. It was a few talks. If I am allowed my way, then the real education policy can be divided into two parts. The first part, the university education. The first part is for the young people, another part for the older people. Young people come to learn the art of life, sex, ambition, and struggle. And when they turn old, they again reach the university to learn about death, God, meditation. Because now the old universities would not be of help to them. I had mentioned that you enter the education at the age of 6 or 7. You finish the primary school, the secondary school, you enter the university. You spend 20, 25, 27 years of your precious life in the university campus. When you come out of the university campus, you are decorated with degrees, honors, and you are told that now you are ready to plunder into the world that exists in front of you. Have you ever wondered? Do you have the questions for simple answers to the simple questions that life asks on a day-to-day basis? No, you are not. You do not have the answer to the simple questions and basic questions that life asks on a moment-to-moment basis. Then there is something basically wrong in the education system. It must be reviewed. I'll continue this talk. It is an interesting part. And as I said, the question was one, and I will repeat the question once again, to which I was responding. Someone has asked, Sheikh, can you explain why is it that I do not feel like having sex with my wife, but want to have sex with other women? Another odd thing around sexuality I experience is that when I desire a woman, I may text her or talk to her on phone or via Skype, but when I meet her in person, I no longer have any desire to have sex with her. I do not understand this strange phenomenon. I wonder if desire for sex and fantasies around it are just in my mind, like a movie. They do not really exist outside the mind. Do desires essentially stem out of the mind? When it comes to sex, I thought that the urge for sexual union with the opposite sex is also a biological, bodily need. I responded to certain aspects of this question, why I do not want to have sex with my wife but with others, and then when I meet the other women, why I do not want to have sex. Certain aspects were important to understand what this energy is like, what is sex energy, and then the aspects of the life into 7-year cycles. If you understand them correctly, this is the part of the basic education for rearing a child. But no parent knows how to rear a child. Bearing a child is one thing, but rearing a child requires tremendous understanding. Children are born out of chance, but they cannot be reared out of chance. A great understanding is required to rear a child. And that's where the problem comes in. We'll continue on this on the next Monday, because Saturday and Sunday is when I'm speaking on the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra the techniques of meditation for transformation of human consciousness. And during the week, as I get an opportunity, I will speak, I will digitize the excerpt from my book, India, the Light of the Being. I had spoken two aspects. Is India a piece of land that was divided, ruled, and subdivided by the vested interest? No, it is not. To me, India is consciousness. India is the light. Just as we develop a human life in a particular way, in the same way, the masters and the rulers developed the land like a living organism. India is the living organism. It is consciousness. It is light. So the topic of the book is India, the light of the being. Now the third talk will be centered around the education. What I mean really by the education that is required for the development of human consciousness. Maybe these may not be given any attention by the authorities. I am in no authority to influence the government policies or anything, but I have the right to express my ways, my views, so that somewhere in future these are heard, read, and may become the part of the policies of the government to bring about transformation in human consciousness. Only this much for this morning, and thanks to all those who have been live to this streaming. Take care and do have a pleasant day.